Hey everybody, it's Gary Vaynerchuk from WineLibraryTV.com, and now that I got my flip phone, flip camera, I'm pretty dangerous. I'm just going to start. I've been reviewing wine for 500 episodes, 2.5 years. Now I've just decided I'm going to review everything. I might even go on the street later and just start reviewing people. So anyway, my new thing that I think I can bring a lot of value for is actually reviewing lists, wine lists and bar lists around the city. And as you guys know, I travel every day, so this could be really fun. I think this could be a tremendous addition to what I do. And so let's start right off the bat with Public. They're here in New York City on Elizabeth Street. I want to see how we can do this. I mean, this is not going to be, you're not going to see all the details, so I'm going to walk you through it. But it starts with drinks and a couple sakis, which I'm always excited about, some cocktails, a couple of beers, nice selection. This is really the wine list. The sparkling by the glass list, they have a Prosecco, which I'm always down with. They have a champagne and a sparkling rosé. Obviously, you guys know me pretty well. For me, what would be missing from this list possibly is a cava. Now, what I do know, and I'm going to throw them right in here, Jesse is in the hizzy.
How you doing?
Jesse, how are you? Tell us who you are and what you do here.
So I'm the wine director here at Public, and so I'm responsible for, among spirits as well as wine, taking care of the list and putting together something that is focused on, in terms of wine, specifically New Zealand and Australian stuff, along with some nice balanced selections from the old world.
Awesome. Now, I do know that Australia and New Zealand is a heavy percentage of the list. Is that correct?
That's correct. Probably 60 to 70%.
And that is because the food, tell me.
The food sort of draws
theme
on,
of the restaurant
draws on a strong connection with those places. Obviously, I'm from New Zealand. Many of the people who worked here are from New Zealand or Australia, and the chef worked for a long time in London with a New Zealand-based chef.
Got it.
And sort of cut his teeth there and picked up a lot of this culinary style.
Now, being the wine nerd I am, how are you seeing people gravitate towards the Central Otago Pinot Noirs?
It's obviously, as you're aware of,
Sure.
a big movement these days in Pinot Noir. It's not the oldest New Zealand region for
Sure.
Pinot Noir,
Not even close.
but it's
But
becoming
the hottest.
It's becoming certainly the hottest. I mean,
At
it's
least
sort
in the
of
U.S. market.
the most fruit-forward styles, generally speaking. And we sell, Pinot Noir is our largest selling category on the wine list in terms of varietal.
No kidding. Let me ask you another one because I'm just going to nerd it up now. It's going in a totally different direction. How about the Riesling and Gewurz? I mean, for me, that is what's really exciting about New Zealand, but we haven't started talking about that in America yet.
Right.
I'm sure you being from there, you know what I'm talking about. What do you think about those wines, and what are your hopes for it, or what's your vision, or do you totally disagree and you're not into those wines from New Zealand?
We are big into the Riesling and Gewürztraminer from New Zealand, but I should also throw a bone to the Australian Riesling producers, which are also very big on.
Very good.
So very sort of clean, fresh, dry Australian styles, along with some perhaps more fruit-forward and slightly sweeter New Zealand styles sometimes. But Gewürztraminer is a style that we get behind. There's a couple of producers, particularly Vinoptima, which is a great producer from Gisborne in New Zealand that we're very strong with.
Awesome.
And it's just, for our food, which has a lot of sort of Southeast Asian ingredients, the Gewürztraminers, the Riesling, especially the ones with a touch of sugar, work really, really well with those foods.
I totally agree. Let's continue with what we're doing here. This is starting to turn out to be something that I think I want to do. Maybe because Jesse's rocking it. I'm not going to put the camera on him much more because he's going to steal my thunder. Anyway, so, there's some Gruner, there's some Semillon from Colonial Estate, which is always interesting to see. Again, there, right off the bat, I should have saw it. There is a Gewürztraminer from Seyfried. Nielsen, I've never had that. What do you think about that little producer?
That's a lovely one. It's actually a little lighter than most people's experience of Gewürz.
It's an 07, right?
Yeah, it's not an opulent style, but it makes it a good sort of starter Gewürz for a lot of people, which is why we do it by the glass.
Now, right off the bat, what I'm really impressed with, I'm going to try, I mean, again, I know you're not going to get everything here, but right off the bat, a St. George from Greece, what I've been talking a lot about Greek wines coming on the scene over the next 3 to 5 years, super impressed. Like, this would be that's a hook for me right off the bat of saying, okay, this is a serious program. They've got a red wine list, and the first thing I see is a Greek red wine. That gets me excited. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. That's what kind of gives it an edge over every other restaurant out there. And so, and you guys know me well enough. If I wasn't happy about the list, even with Jesse sitting here, I would kind of, I'd sugarcoat and I'd dance, but I'm impressed. So, like I said, on the first page, no cava hurts my feelings because, I'm hot on that, but meet up dramatically by the St. George. So there's that one page of by the glass. You've got about 12 to 15, it looks like, maybe 20.
Exactly.
It's a good number, right, for a restaurant?
It's a practical number for a restaurant like us.
Sure. Then you get into verticals, which I like quite a bit, and of course you're going to see all the, Lewin and Wynns and Mount Mary and Penfolds, Seplet, Grosset. You're going to see all the classics. Polished Hill, if you're talking Riesling from Australia. Nice to see a throwback, the '98 vintage Polished Hill along with the '02 and '04. That's kind of neat. I mean, this, I'll be honest with you. I came here about 4 or 5 years ago when they first started. I've stumbled into a pretty serious, fun list here, so I'm excited about that. Going on, back to bottles. Again, I like to see the Herman J. Weimer Blanc de Blanc by the bottle, sparkling wine from New York State. Once again, throwing a little, little twist for us nerds, us wine geeks. That's a lot of fun. There's a sparkler from New Zealand. Once again, I'm gonna nitpick on them. I gotta get them to get a cava in here somehow. What do you think about? Oh, there is.
So you got a cava, cava Gramona.
You're right. Right? Very good job, my man. Very good. Good work. Awesome. So, hits my fancy then. I like Gramona quite a bit. What do you think of the Cava Gramona? Again, if you hate it, listen, just so you know, it's totally real. Like, you can hate it.
This wine is something good for me. I'm not an aficionado of Cava at all, but this one, it delivers. It's dry and fresh and just gets to the point without being overly complex.
Yes, that's the Gramona. I'm sorry, that's the Gramona 04. Moving on with the champagnes, all the classic, Moet and Clicquot and Bollinger and all that jazz. Rieslings again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Rieslings, mainly from a lot of German, Austrian Rieslings on this batch. A lot of there's Pegasus Bay, which I always thought is a very good value Riesling. Yeah. What do you think? Just a good value, right?
And a good contrast to the Australians, particularly.
No question. 5 Gewurzes, 5 Pinot Gris, 3 Pinot Blancs, 4 Chenin Blancs, which you all know what I think about Chenin Blanc, especially out of South Africa. There is one. There's 2 from Loire, of course, classic. 1 from New Zealand. Milton, which I'm not familiar with. Break that down a little bit for me.
He's a fabulous,
which
crazy.
Which is this? This is the
it's the Tiarai is the name of the vineyard, and James Milton is a full-on biodynamic guy, and he lives
animal skulls.
He lives it. He lives it, and
nice.
this particular wine is just
stuff?
a great. Yeah, I mean, it stands up to many 7 years that I've drank. And so we like to have it opposite the Jolie there.
Awesome. Yeah, and the Jolie's that classic, also biodynamic guy, goes nuts.
Exactly.
Old school, classic Loire, like the benchmark, wouldn't you say? At some level?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Nicholas and James go back in terms of this whole biodynamic community.
Buddies? Yeah.
They're pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, any of those biodynamic freaks are all
they're on their own planet.
Absolutely. All right, back to the list, a good amount, 2, 4, 6, 12 Sauvignon Blancs, Shaw and Smith, which is a classic Australian producer, make Craigie Ranch, which is making a lot of noise as a New World kind of got Vacheron as the Sancerre. You got to have some Sancerre with the oysters. People looking for that. Good amount of Chardonnays, not too crazy. Then we got into some uniques, which I like, some Albariños there. You're going to see some Spatlés on the list. There's a Greek white wine, which I'm happy to say, a Rueda, of course. There's 3 rosés, so not too crazy. Didn't get rosé crazy like everybody's getting, so that's nice to see too. Heavy on the Pinot. I see why you sell a lot, because it's the biggest list so far.
It is.
And obviously the movie helped. It's just the truth.
The movie helps. Yeah, Lord of the Rings helps. I mean, anything to do with New Zealand, and particularly that part of New Zealand, southern.
Lord of the Rings. I gotta start using that. Nice work.
Yeah, it works for us.
Couple Cab Francs. Big up to Cabernet Franc. That's my grape varietal, especially from Loire Valley, and of course, the Chinon from Charles Jouget. You're going to see that often on many smart lists. This is clearly developing to be a pretty smart list. Couple California cabs, but mainly Australia cabs. If you're wondering from California, Justin, producer a lot of people like from the low end, I guess, $54 a bottle, fair price restaurant, and Philip Togny, the 05. Another, in my opinion, pretty smart choosing here, because it's an 05 that's a big wine, 210 bones a bottle, but it's a very approachable young Napa cab, so it kind of has some rationale behind it. I'm kind of giving you a little bit of credit. Is that kind of, you think, the rationale behind that? Because people are going to pop and pour, so you want something a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. And we like Tony because he seems to make wines that are slightly more
refined.
Bordeaux-centric.
Sure, no question.
If we could say that.
Yep. Some Bordeaux blends, which we're seeing a lot more from Australia. Parker, Uva Mira, which we've done a lot of things with in the past in the retail side of our business. A lot of Shiraz, Ross Estate. I'm always a big fan of their stuff, so it's good to see them on the list. K-Bros, there's a La Chapelle Hermitage from Paul Jabelet, Graillot, from Morocco. Tell me about that.
So Alain Graillot spent some time traveling in Morocco, has some wine growing friends. Discovered a vineyard and a winemaker there, and he decided to do a sort of a co-production. So you would probably know more than me, Gary, but he's like a big Rhone producer.
Oh, he is the
the man, right?
He's the man. He's a big-time Crozes Hermitage producer.
Precisely.
Correct.
So this is a production that's exclusively done in Morocco, and it's a fabulous, fabulous wine for a great price.
Awesome. So more Rhones, which I'm really excited. Santa Duke, good Gigondas, good job. Hewitson, who I think really understands how to do that. Unique varietals again. You've got a couple Tempranillos and a couple, Torraldago, which is great. Marion, I think, is a good producer of that. Nice, fair price on that. And that wraps it up. So now I think another fun thing, I'm just making this up on the fly. Jesse, your choice. One wine, one by the glass. Somebody walks in, there's going to be a lot of people from New York watching this video. They walk in. What's Jesse's choice for?
One bottle and one by the glass?
One bottle or one by the glass. One thing. You come here, order this. Bam. I mean, they're all your children, I get it,
right.
but you're on the spot, and that's how we
I'm
roll.
going to go with James Milton's wine, the Tiara Chenin Blanc, because it's a great summer wine, even though it has some body and some weight. It's not a lightweight white wine, but it's just a really versatile wine with lots of great sort of peach and honey and even hazelnutty notes, and it's just a lovely balanced wine from New Zealand that I can get behind.
I think that's awesome. I think what I'm going to recommend you then is buy the glass. This way we're hitting everybody. So looking through it, I'm probably going to lean towards the Rutherford Glen Estate 05 Marsanne Viognier. I've had it a couple times. It's the 05, believe it or not, which gives a little bit more length. You know, it's a little older. It's weird to say older for an 05, but it is. And it's got a really great viscosity in the mouthfeel that I think would be excellent. And this time of year, you know, I think it could go nice with some of the bar foods or things of that nature.
Exactly, and this is a wine that for us, we don't have a Chardonnay by the glass, which is sort of crazy for a lot of people,
right.
But this is the wine that sort of fills that slot. It's a little richer, you know, you get richness from that Marsanne, and the Roussanne gives it some sharpness and some acidity, so it's a lovely one.
So here's my game plan when I review lists. I'm actually gonna, we don't edit on Wine Library TV, so I'm usually gonna stop, go outside and review it because I don't want to hurt feelings, but I'm going to do it easily when it's good. So since this is a good, easy move, to me this is, you know, I hate to score it this way, but I'm gonna have to give you some sort of range. To me, in the wine scale system that we all hate and love, this to me is a 92, 93 point wine list. I mean, this is really good, the diversity, the Greek wines, and plus theme oriented. If you're feeling the Southern Hemisphere stuff, this is a place where you need to roll up on. I mean, if you're feeling, like if you want to learn more, if you're studying for your Master Sommelier or your CES or trying to get a little diversity, this is a great place, especially if it's in your neighborhood, to come in and get a good taste of what's going on in New Zealand and Australia, not just from the things you know, which is New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc and Australian Shiraz. This takes care of it truly, and it shows you a balance of all the different wines that are coming out of these regions, some of which are going to be more popular than the ones you know over the next 3 to 4 years. Jesse, I'm going to give you the last word. Why don't you say hello to all the Vaniacs who watch Wine Library TV, or goodbye, and more importantly, why don't you ask them a question of the day? Any question you like about wine, life, anything you'd like. Whenever we have guests, we make them do a question of the day. So what's your question of the day?
Well, thanks for coming, Gary, and
My
thanks
pleasure.
for talking about our list. And my question of the day would be, what's going to be the new white? Grunewald, you know, was the big white maybe last year and the year before. I'm kind of curious about which varietal white is going to emerge this summer. I haven't seen any one thing yet, so something to think about.
And tell us who you are one more time and where we are.
So I'm Jesse Webster, and I'm the wine director here at Public Restaurant, which is 210 Elizabeth, right between Prince and Spring in Nolita in New York.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
You, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not. Come in and ask for this man and say hello. Show him how the Vaniacs roll. See you later.